2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. Now, apostasy. How many of you heard the word apostasy? It's actually from the Greek word apostasia, meaning defection from the truth or abandonment of previous loyalty. In the New King James Version, apostasy is falling away. If you study this book, Paul said to the Thessalonian church, before the Antichrist will appear, mag-rapture and then the appearance of the Antichrist. And before the Antichrist will appear, there's going to be a terrible thing that will happen in the church. And it's called apostasy, or the falling away. Meaning, many will abandon the truth. Now, this is a very, very terrible warning for the church, especially in our generation, because this will happen. Do you want to be part of those who will fall away? Those who will backslide? Jesus showed us the peak of the coming apostasy. Ipalilita niya kung unsay may tabo sa church. This is the coming apostasy. They will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. There's going to be a great persecution coming to the church. In fact, naanay mga balaod all over the world in place. They're preparing it to persecute the Christians. Or maybe our lawmakers don't know this. Okay, dili nila intention nga ibutang nga balaod to persecute the church, but these laws could be used to persecute the church. In the United States, naanagay mga balaod that are persecuting Christians. In 2015, dagan kay mga Christians nga mga businessmen nga gipang kasuhan because they refuse to serve the LGBT community. Nations, through laws, will be persecuting Christians. Dili na lang ta magstorya sa China. Dili na lang ta magstorya sa India, sa Pakistan, sa Iran. They're already persecuting Christians there many years ago. But it will come to our doorsteps. Because yun din all the world, you will be hated by all nations. We will be hated by all. That's not an exaggeration. It will come that all nations will hate us. That's a prophecy. Imagine the teaching of the church today. Much of the church today is teaching convenience, comfort, right? Prosperity, blessing, favor. And these things are coming. So, unsa may mahitabo sa mga Christians when these things come? If much of the church is preaching about prosperity and convenience, and then ang moabot sa church kay persecution, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. This is a very grave warning. That's why when Jesus was asked by his 4 disciples, what are the signs of the end? The first answer of the Lord is, be careful that you will not be deceived. And then he proceeded, there's going to be wars, there's going to be famines and earthquakes and pestilence. But don't fear these things. But I want you to be careful by false teachers. Be careful that you are not offended. Be careful that you do not allow hatred to grow in your heart. Be careful that you will not be deceived. You know why? I'm telling you because if you die in the war, or if you die with a disease, and your faith is intact, your eternity is secure. Amen? But if you're deceived and your faith is compromised, your righteousness is compromised, it could rob you of your blessings, and or worse, you could lose your salvation. I want to die with my faith intact. That's why Jesus said, ay magkabala ka ng gubat. Some people will even kill you. As long as your faith is intact, your eternity is secure. But be careful that you are not deceived, because once you are deceived, it could compromise your faith. And that could eventually cause you to lose your salvation. Many will be confused. Many will be confused because they were not prepared for this. Wala man sila naandam. Because of these things that will come to the church, and this will come suddenly, I'm telling you, it will come suddenly, and then many will be offended. Many will be offended to the gospel. Because much of the church is preaching the wrong gospel or half-truth gospel, not the complete gospel. They only preach things that people love to hear. Blessings, promises, favor. All these things are good and all these things are true. If all our preachings are all this, and we don't warn people about the coming persecution, and when persecution comes, naturally they will be confused, and eventually they will be offended. And they will no longer listen to preachings. And then they will betray one another. Now, again, this is talking to the church. The coming apostasy is about people being offended at one another. Being offended, na-offend sila sa gospel, na-offend sila sa kay Lord. Di ba nabasa niyo sa book of John? John chapter 6, many disciples were offended at the Lord and they left Jesus. John chapter 6, verse 66. It will happen again. Many will turn their back on Jesus. Many will turn their back upon the gospel. That's apostasy. And this is coming. It's already here. But it's going to spread all over the world. And then, gubot na ang church, confused na ang church, many are offended at one another, many are offended at God, and then the perfect time for false prophets to arise and introduce a new teaching when much of the church is offended and confused. And many of these Christians who are offended will believe to the lies of these false prophets. Be careful that you will not be deceived.